Alright, Shalom, Israelite Brotherhood family. Alright, family. Shalom, everybody. Alright, Hebrews, we know it's a whole lot going on in the world. And it's a whole lot. And it's a possibility that our freedom could be here. Because you know Almighty Yah said that it was going to be a 400-year bondage, what he told our father, Prophet Abraham. Way before we got into the land, way before we become an Israelite nation, he spoke of a 400-year bondage in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And we know that our ancestors called Egypt Mesrim, and that the English translation in Latin and so forth is, you know, they come up with Egypt, and then how that Egypt done stuck, and then how that, you know, the Europeans then basically named Egypt, you know, Egypt. But we know that the bondage that we are in is identical to a Egypt that our ancestors was in the past, especially, you know, us functioning in a nation, being ex-slaves, and then, you know, we don't really have nothing, and we at the sole mercy, man, of our captors. And then it's another thing that I want to hit on, man, before I get good into this message, is how, you know, man, they've been pondering reparations, right? Now, the enemy is so cold and so ruthless that they done let a lot of Africans into this country. A lot of Africans done come to America, man, to where they're going to probably say that you people that say that you from slavery, y'all got to prove y'all from slavery now. Now, this the thing. We know before the civil rights, it wasn't no Africans over here in our community. It wasn't no Hispanics. It wasn't no natives. It wasn't nobody walking around. Especially during the Jim Crow laws and during the slavery time. It wasn't no Africans in America. It wasn't no Africans here. It wasn't no Africans. Africans just started pulling up after we opened the door during the civil rights. Then a lot of different ethnic groups from Africa started coming over. You know, but wasn't no Africans here during the during slavery and then during the Jim Crow days. Now, you know, we can go back and prove our ancestry from them points that we was enslaved and that we from the transatlantic slave trade. Now, our enemy's cold. Now, they ruthless. They done let all these Africans in, and then they gonna say, well, y'all got to prove you're from the transatlantic slave trade. Knowing they got all these Africans and other pigmented peoples from other ethnic groups from around the world mixed in with us, because we the first place that they come to when other ethnic groups come to America. We the first place they come to our community, because they barely have resources, and they down at the bottom with us, but they rise on top of us. Every single time we done seen ethnic group after ethnic group rise up above us, just like Tanakh prophecy say about, you know, our captivity, how the strangers will come in among us. But this the thing, Hebrews, we not gonna let them trick us. We're not gonna let them trick us when it come time for a little payday. You know, which, you know, me, I'm not advocating, man, reparations here in America, and that how all our reparations should be towards a sovereign land, having control over our destiny. And you're not going to have control over your destiny till you get a sovereign land. You know, that's one of the main prophecies in the Tanakh history, is that the Israelites will be brought back to a sovereign land where they will govern themselves. And this is what I'm talking about, the events that's going on. Now, I just explained in the previous video how the proxy wars, how the Ashkenazi and the Sephardi groups been fighting over the Israelite heritage for a long time, and how they done developed, man, a whole lot of ammunition, nations and groups and organizations to fight against each other since we abandoned our heritage. And that's how you sum up all the wars that's basically been going on. you know, since we broke the covenant. You know, it's going to be because those two groups fighting over each other, fighting over the Israelite heritage, whether it's by religion or by army, whichever way. You know what I'm saying? They've been getting it done towards each other. And I explained how Ashkenazi wrestled control of the Israelite heritage as was prophesied by our father, Prophet Noah. Man, I think that's Genesis 9:27. I'm sure it is. You know how he said that Japhet will be in the tents of Shem and how Canaan will be his servant. And that's exactly how it is today, because we know that Japhet is in Shem house. That's the Israelite heritage. And that the Canaanites, man, that'll be them Palestinians, that'll be them Amorites, and all those ancient tribes that stayed in the promised land is held subjected to Ashkenaz. You know, Ashkenaz got nuclear bombs and so forth, you know, to protect, you know, the little holdings that they got, which basically, as I explained in another video, how Edom is coming at them through proxy religions and all kind of ways, and how that the Ashkenazi holdings in the promised land, man, is at stake now, and then how that they might not have too long, and how nuclear bomb can't protect you with asymmetric warfare, and how all those Edomites, man, finna start focusing their attention on the Jewish state, and then how that them folks, because how the Sephardics ran into those other Eastern nations long ago, and then how they got pigmentation, and then how they can convince those nations and peoples, which they gonna automatically know by just looking at the Sephardics with pigmentation, that Ashkenazi is not the original people, and then they know that a lot of those Jews settled in the promised land in 1943 and a little before that. You know, they got records of this. So they got European migrations down to the promised land. You know, and I explained in plenty of videos how the Israelite heritage got all over the world. You know, and man, it's easily understood. Now, this is the message that I kind of want to get into, man, you Hebrews, man. It's how that we basically holding ourselves up in this captivity, because you got Israelites walking around addressing themselves as Negroes, blacks. Man, I know some Israelites, man, that'll fight hard and powerfully for the black culture and the black this and that. And man, I've been explaining that's non-descriptive, and that a whole lot of peoples with pigmentation fall up under the title black. And then how did that word black and its name don't just specifically direct towards us Israelites from the transatlantic slave trade, and then how did the title black and fighting for a black cause is like a universal thing, you know, because we know the pigmented people's been oppressed all around the world and so forth. You know, that's another video. But, you know, us Israelites, men that's in captivity right now, we can't keep going by the title black, because it's destroying us. And then as long as we identify ourselves as black, then we can't have no son of power. There's no son of power. Like I say, it's a lot of Israelites, they fighting hard for the black title, and they didn't accomplish this for the black cause and black, but it's non-effective. It's non-effective. It's meaningless. That's like all the struggles that we done been through as a people here in captivity, and then look how the foreigners come over and get ahead of us in 5 and 10 years. 5 and 10 years, they done left our community and become owners in it. But look at us and how we still in subjection and held in poverty. Is because we keep going by those titles blacks, and it's black, and it's not centered, and we can't, you know, it's widespread, and it includes everybody that got pigmentation, and everybody that got pigmentation ain't going through what we going through. So you keep addressing us as blacks and you fighting for a black cause, you're really hurting us. You hurting us Israelites, and you hurting us true Israelites, because that's who we are. You know, and you hurting us because you keep identifying us as blacks, and that's not specifically addressing our needs and our culture and how black is universal. You know, that's a global thing. It's pigmented peoples from all over the world. That's like I just recently made a post showing that that Almighty Yah ain't judging folks by their color, and then how, you know, even though he had Tazar, he put Tazarat on folks as a punishment, but you know, it was clean lepers, you know, Leviticus 13:13. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the color issue is not the issue with worshiping Almighty Yah, because you had non-pigmented peoples in Almighty Yah's army, like Uri the Hittite, who King David, you know, kind of messed off. You know what I'm saying? But he was a non-pigmented person, and he was serving in Almighty Yah's army. Now that's something serious. That's something serious. There was a white man in Almighty Yah's army fighting to the death on the front line. So, you know, color is not an issue. You know, worshiping Almighty Yah, he ain't judging us by no color, even though the people that are called Israelites are pigmented people. But then we come in all, you know, kind of different shades and colors. You know what I'm saying? There's some scriptures in the book of Jeremiah where he said that, you know, his Almighty Yah heritage is like a speckled bird. You know, it's like a speckled bird, and I'm sure you Israelites, men, are familiar with that verse. All right, Israelites, us identifying ourselves as blacks, man, we ain't gonna get no power. We ain't gonna get no power, because the people that's considered black and inclusive to that don't share our history. They don't share the struggles we done been through, and then when they get over here and get material wealth, they don't invest in the community. Man, the Ethiopians and the Africans been here for 40 years, and all they do is extract wealth from the community, take money from the community. They ain't never invested. If it's some Africans and then got together and then built a community center, or helping the community in some kind of way, man, I would like to be shown this. You know, you Israelites, you know, you can show me this in the comment section, man. I'm open for that, because I ain't seen this nowhere, and I'm aware of the, you know, the activities in the community, especially dealing with the other ethnic groups and stuff. And I know that the Africans that's in the community, man, they ain't contribute nothing, man, back into our community, and how they just been taking wealth, just like the other ethnic groups that move into the our neighborhood, and how they don't care nothing about us. You know, that's like us hollering black, and we want everything to be right with everybody that got pigmentation, but everybody that got pigmentation don't want everything to be right with us. And it's like they want us to stay on a certain level that everybody can walk on. Everybody can walk. We everybody stepping stone where they can step on us and get up high. And it's been like that since the transatlantic slave trade, since our ancestors been in captivity. You know, at first we wasn't at fault. You know what I'm saying? Because we were some captured people and we had to serve a sentence. But now that our sentence is over, oh man, we needs to regroup. We needs to regroup and come with a whole new ideology that's independent from our captors, and that's our Israelite heritage. That's our Israelite heritage. And if you still identifying yourself as a black, you holding us up, and you the problem. If you identifying yourself as black and you from the transatlantic slave trade, you the problem. You the problem, and you holding us up. You holding us up, and you the reason why we in this position right now today, because being classified as black, Negroes, and African Americans mean he ain't gonna never have no power. And then long as we, you know, stay with those categories on us, they gonna keep their foot down on us, and we ain't gonna never be able to have no sovereignty, because You know, the Negro, black, and the African American, they don't have no history. They only have a history of subjugation, you know, being subjugated to oppression, and that's their history. And that ain't gonna never change. That ain't gonna never change. Well, if we start identifying ourselves as the Hebrew Israelites, then we got a past that we can show how we got in this position. We got a past we can show how we got in this position. As I show our first derogatory name in recorded history by the Greeks is going to be Gramentian. And then I show that they had a slave over here that they document under the name Gramentian after the Gramentian Empire is supposed to have disappeared, vanished. Well, they had a Gramentian slave over here that showed them how to cure smallpox. And then how that if they had one Gramentian slave, you know, they had both of them. And then I show that the people who we are in captor to, our captors been in control of 5 civilizations, and those civilizations extended thousands of years. Man, they got about a good 6,000-7,000 years of governing groups and countries and administrating governments and everything. So that's why it's been hard for us to wake up and kind of like shake this little slavery thing off of us, because we dealing with some people that go all the way back to the Sumerian civilization and its destruction, and the Akkadian civilization, and the Assyrian civilization, and man, all them civilizations, they done been through all of them. And then they got the governing techniques on how to hold a people down. And then they can systematically destroy you by law. Their laws are designed to destroy whoever they want, with them staying at the top, being at the top, you know, on the top of the pyramid. To just put it like that. Now everything else roll down to the bottom base, and now we at the bottom, the footstool, and how everybody walk on us. Well, Israelites being classified as a Negro, black, and African American got us in this situation now, but we can shake that off by identifying ourselves as Israelites, because we do have a ancient history, and the Israelite history gonna be probably the oldest documented history, meaning on the face of this earth, and you know we connected to it, to the Tanakh. And like I say, I can show that the first derogatory name that our ancestors was given was Gramentian, and the Greeks gave us that, as I explained during the Babylonian Wars in plenty videos, how we Israelites was chased off the promised land for saying that we wanted to do Egyptian religion. That's why I put emphasis on that black thing, because you know the Egyptians were some pigmented peoples, black folks, and they tricked us out of our heritage. You know, I explained in plenty of videos how the Egyptians had to do trade on the other side of the promised land, and how that they kept us on their gods and their religions. And I show how Pharaoh was thinking strategic when he had dealing with us Israelites, all the way from our father prophet Abraham all the way to we Israelites who was enslaved in Egypt, and how Pharaoh was thinking strategic, knowing that we had a whole different belief system in how we worship the one and true Yah, and then how that the Mesopotamians and the Egyptians worship the God's sons and so forth. The fallen angelic beings is all that they worship. That's all the Egyptians worship, is the fallen angelic beings, as well as the Mesopotamians, the Babylonians. You know, when you boil it all down to their gods and so forth, their gods are going to be the fallen angelic beings that's in the Tanakh and so forth, that Almighty Yah cut life expectancy down after they went into the daughters of man and so forth. You know, all right, Israelites. I mean, there's a lot going on. You know, this Russia thing with the Ukraine thing. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm explaining to Israelites like this. You know, Almighty Yah, man, to leave some nations out. Man, that, you know, that didn't have no dealings with us, and then how those nations are used to bring the nations down that oppressed us and had dealing with us. It's a over and over cycle. It's an over and over cycle in the Tanakh. Go into their history thoroughly, deeply. If you read the Tanakh, you're gonna know that Almighty Yah is a group that'll pop up out of somewhere and that'll go destroy the people that held us in captivity, or something like that. We rise up too, but our enemies will have trouble with other enemies, and then they'll bring our enemies down and give us some freedom. That didn't happen quite a few times throughout the Israelite history. Well, man, it's like this, Hebrews, man, that our ancestors broke the covenant, and we got chased off the promised land into Africa. And while we was in Africa, you know what I'm saying, we sojourned in the Sahara till the transatlantic slave trade started. And then we here, and our heritage was stripped from us by those peoples that control civilization, 6 or 7 civilizations, go all the way back to the Sumerian civilization. So our people's having a hard time reorganize and getting back to our true identity, because we dealing with some people that been governing civilization. And then if you caught up in a educational system and it's mandatory to be forced into it, then man, that they putting a system down, to keep you out of heritage, forever and stuff. And they've been successful. But it was a prophecy, man, about the Israelites being in bondage in 400 years, and I think this, what I'm saying, I know for sure this is it, and then like I said about Russia and the Ukraine war, how those are proxy wars, and how that Ashkenazi tried to break Syria up. Well, the Sephardi groups went into China and Russia and the Eastern nations and so forth, and how Russia ain't nothing but a tool, and then how that they trying to, well, they done broke up Ukraine, Ashkenazi's old ancient homeland. The Scythians and Khazars, everybody lived in Ukraine at one time, and that's Ashkenazi land. And then how that's being broken up, and then how that Russia got hypersonic missiles that the West don't have, and how it's a possibility that they might go and impress and use their military advantage, because they ain't gonna have it too long, use their military advantage on the West and knock them loose. And then y'all know what that spells. If our enemies get defeated, if our enemies and our captors get defeated, that's our freedom. And it's within that 400-year prophecy that Almighty Yah made to Prophet Abraham, to know of a surety that his descendants would be a stranger in a strange land. And we know Egypt wasn't a strange land back then, especially if Prophet Abraham went to it, and then the Israelites born up under Prophet Abraham went to it, not Isaac, but our father Jacob, and his sons was in Egypt, and then how we had a long relationship with Egypt, and Egypt wasn't a strange land, and he was talking about a land far off, and that you will be taken to by ships, and that's what happened to us, and we in captivity right now. We in captivity right now doing the 400-year bondage that, Yah told Prophet Abraham about. What's a possibility that we might get free? And then if we get free, this is what I dread. We can't have Israelites going back to the promised land in the state of mind. I'm just not all the way just righteous, and I got problems and faults too, but I know I'm an Israelite. And I only worship one Yah. That's important. No matter what your problems is, that's important, is to worship one Yah, one Creator. Man, we got a lot of Israelites, man, that believe in a lot of different doctrines, man. A lot of different doctrines. I'm talking about, you got Israelites that believe in the Yawashes, God's sons, and all kind of stuff, and they don't understand what took place. You know, I'm thankful for the Israelite Brotherhood family, you know, that's been, you know, supporting me, man, by watching these videos and become part of the family, and how they, you know, we know the truth. You know what I'm saying? You Israelites that's been studying with the Israelite Brotherhood, we know the truth, and we know exactly what happened to us. We know that we got chased out the land by Ashkenazi under the name Scythian. We know that the Sephardists are the Sephardians, are Amorites, and they've been in our heritage for a long time, and that they made it with all the Moabites, the Ammonites, and the Edomites, and how they kind of like become one. You see what I'm saying? And we know this in the Israelite Brotherhood, and we know that all the tribes went into Israel. You know what I'm saying? All the tribes went into Africa. All the tribes of Israel went into Africa. If you in the Israelite Brotherhood and you've been studying with me, you know that all the tribes ran into Africa, and that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes, and that's bull crap, and that all the tribes ran into Africa, and we was all enslaved, like Almighty Yah say. You know this if you in the Israelite Brotherhood family. Well, we got a bunch of Israelites, mean, that don't know this. They don't know this, and they think that the promised land is in South America and Peru somewhere. I mean, you got Israelites believing in all kind of doctrines, and it's only one history. I mean, it's only one thing that happened to us in the Tanakh outlined it, and then from the Tanakh you can follow the trail. But you got Israelites, man, that just going off Jewish myths, history that the Amorites wrote a long time ago. Man, they started writing a whole bunch of history about the Israelites, 10 lost tribes and all that old stuff. Man, they wrote so many books, man, about the 10 lost tribes, and then they spread them books all around the world. Well, the Israelites that get them books, man, they think they holy. You know what I'm saying? That's like the apocryphal books. Israelites get them books, man, they think they holy, and you know, they don't know that we abandoned our heritage to some Babylonian scribes. Israelites don't know we abandoned our heritage to some Babylonian scribes, especially the Hebrews in them camps. They don't have a clue what's going on. They just think that Yawashi got killed in the temple. It heard Edomite temple that he built from the ground up. They think that that's our temple, and then that we ran into Africa in 70 A.D. pre-exposed to Greek and Roman culture that you didn't find nowhere on us. When they finally captured, you didn't find no Greek or Roman culture on us, and it's impossible to be exposed, to Greek culture for 300 some years till the Romans came in 50 BC, and then not have some Greek influence on us in the Sahara or in Africa while they captured us. Not speaking Latin, Greek, or none of that. The Romanist Latin language, not speaking any of that. Not having no exposure to Greek or Roman culture. But yet, these Israelites say that we ran into Africa because her Edomite temple was destroyed, and that we went into Africa to live. And oh man, that's so far from the truth. That's so far from the truth. And I got plenty of videos explaining how the Edomites that John Harnicus converted, as well as those that settled in our land, went into Africa and converted, man, a whole lot of Africans. You know what I'm saying? A whole lot of Africans, man, got converted to Judaism from the people that we abandoned our heritage to, that stayed in the promised land a long time, and then how that they would go into Africa and convert a whole lot of folks, and then how Hebrews be confused by that, and then be thinking that that's us. And I explained in plenty of videos how you can't do the covenant up off the promised land. Impossible. That's like right now. You got a whole lot of Israelites sweeping down that they in the covenant. Meaning the covenant is a protection with Almighty Yah involved in it as the protector, the shield. Almighty Yah is the shield when you under the covenant, and how we ain't up under a covenant because we broke the covenant and ran into Africa to do the Egyptian religion because we was tricked up off the promised land by the Egyptians. Some black folks tricked us out the promised land. Yeah, yeah. So that's why I say I try to identify yourself as black and being a protector of black folks and black. That ain't identifying us because it's pigmented folks all around the world, and how some pigmented folks are the reason why we enslaved right now. The Egyptians in the Tanakh outline this. So all you Israelites that be like, oh, me, the black folks are, no, some black folks caused our enslavement. The Egyptians, wasn't no white folks around then. When the Egyptians was running around that we dealt with in the Tanakh, them was all black folks, pigmented folks, and they put their guards on us, and they destroyed us, and got us in captivity right now today. Right now today. So we ain't, that old black stuff, man, no, miss me with that. Don't call me that. Call me an Israelite. I don't want to never be identified as a black, a Negro, because that ain't identifying who I am. I'm an Israelite. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. You know what I'm saying? All right, Hebrews. Man, it's like this. We got to come together. And, if we don't come together, that we're going to continuously be destroyed. And that how we can't identify ourselves as black because they don't identify us and our troubles. You got Africans here that's black, but they got wealth. They got stability, and they ain't been exposed to the tragedies that we've been exposed to have our people minds messed up, and how that they ain't trying to reach out and help us recover some senses. So being identified as black is a bad thing. It's not good. You have to be identified as a Hebrew Israelite. If you are descended from the transatlantic slave trade, and we know who we are, and that's how we make the separations between them and us, is that we say we from the transatlantic slave trade because they know that they ain't from the transatlantic slave trade, and we can tell if they from the transatlantic slave trade. We know, we can tell. We can tell because you got that certain quality and mystique about yourself. You know what I'm saying? If you're descended from the transatlantic slave trade, it's some stuff that rubbed off on us from the transatlantic slave trade that other ethnic groups don't share. They want to try to get it on them, but they don't share the interness, the way that we move and groove. You know what I'm saying? Our essence, well, I can't say our spirituality because our spirituality is offline now, but our uniqueness, that's our Israeliteness. And then how other groups don't share that. You know what I'm saying? It's like I done seen plenty of Africans that try to act like us. You know what I'm saying? I done been in some places where they serve food, and you could tell this dude, he almost got the look. But when he opened his mouth and the way he moved, he said that's an African. That's not a Hebrew Israelite. You know what I'm saying? Well, we're going to have to start making that distinction. You know what I'm saying? And how we can't be classified as blacks. And then how that's destroying us. And if you love us and you love your people, then you're going to identify them as who they truly are. And that if you're trying to hold us back and hold us down, that you're going to identify us as blacks, Negroes, and all of those stuff that don't mean nothing. All right, Israelites, I ain't going to, make this video too long, but, man, I just wanted to, we at the 400-year mark, And man, we can possibly be set free, but we don't need the Israelites that believe in Jesus and Yawashis or none of that to go back to the promised land. And it's like this, they ain't going to be able to go back to the promised land anyway, because there's only one place that we can go in the promised land, and that's Hebron. In the Israelite Brotherhood claiming it already. Been claimed it. Been claiming Hebron and been claiming Hebron all the time and letting it be known in the Israelite community that Hebron belongs to the Israelite Brotherhood. So, that's going to be the only place we're going to be able to settle. So, if the Israelite Brotherhood get off the ground, and as I explained to Ashkenazi how the clock ticking down on them, and then how that they finna have their hands full, and then how that they can stop some of this war that's finna be directed towards them by placing the Israelite Brotherhood, meaning Hebron. Place the Israelite Brotherhood in Hebron, and then, man, we're going to start bringing all them wars to an end, and we'll let the Jewish state exist in peace without interference, and then how we just want to be left alone with our sovereign land. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to get some sovereignty because Almighty Yah promised it. It's promised in the Tanakh, and ain't nothing can hold that back. It's just a matter of time for it to unfold, and then this is what Ashkenazi don't want, is that they don't want to lose a war. The Western culture lose a war with the Eastern culture, and they mean that they're going to drive Ashkenazi all the way out the land. And Ashkenazi won't be in the land no more under the control of nothing. And that can easily happen. And it ain't got to be no nuclear exchange. All them folks got to do is start flying and sending missiles there. And they got missiles everywhere. Everywhere. Man, they got all kind of little armies over there ready to fight the Jewish state and well equipped. And now they finna have China and Russia backing them, because those are Amorite influenced nations from long time ago. I explained that. So, all this is finna take place. But all Ashkenazi got to do is place the Israelite Brotherhood in Hebron. And then that's going to start the begin of the ending of all the wars in the promised land. And then that's like, the Illuminati want us to be one and want to represent humanity. Well, the Illuminati need to help in this Israelite issue through the Israelite Brotherhood. And I got plenty of friends. Y'all know this need to happen, and we need to go on and end this Israelite issue and bring it to an end. We need to bring it to an end. So then, the Israelite issue won't be dividing the earth no more. And that's the foundation of all divisions. That's the cornerstone of all division. It is the Israelites are out of heritage, and how that the Israelite issue needs to come to an end. And I overprove how we lost our heritage from Egyptian worship and being chased out the promised land by Ashkenazi under the name Scythian during the Babylonian Wars. One of the quietest kept history on the face of this earth. I explained in plenty of videos how they didn't document the Israelites going into Africa to do the Egyptian religion and what happened to them, because they couldn't come in to Africa and follow us to document it, and how we sojourned in Africa till the transatlantic slave trade started, and how that while we was in Africa that they didn't document our history too well. They documented it under the name of Gramentian when we had contact with the Greeks. This is a standing army in Africa with chariots and horses, men and everything, fighting skills, can draw water, and just pop up in the Sahara and lower Libya and so forth. I explained how that was us, Israelites, and the few Egyptians, the Mishwish tribes, being chased into Africa by the Scythians, the Babylonians, the people from the north, like Almighty Yah called for in the book of Jeremiah when he said the nations of the north gonna come down and get us. and then how everybody gonna set their throne in the gates of Jerusalem, and that's just what happened to the T. You know, the Tanakh been on time with his history and his prophecies. You know, us Israelites, man, we can get it together. All we got to do is start addressing ourselves as Israelites, and then start shaking that Negro title, and then come to the understanding that the Israelite Brotherhood got the real history for the Israelite community, and how I'm not using Jewish myths and so forth, and then how that, you know, you can connect to your heritage and understand what happened, you know, through the Israelite Brotherhood videos, and then how we need to become one under one history, one doctrine. There's only one thing that happened to us. We got chased out the land for worshiping Egyptian religion. And then I identified the peoples that settled in the land. And then how they got our heritage and what they've been doing and so forth. So Israelite history is real easy now. It's real easy now. But man, we got to wake up. We got to wake up, and then, you know, we can't let the ones that don't know get in any position. You know, I mean, if a person, me and the Israelite, I already know that Israelite that's woke ain't finna follow now Israelite that ain't woke. You know, I ain't finna do it. I ain't finna follow no Israelite that ain't woke. So, you know, man, that's destruction. And how you know an Israelite woke is if he talking this talk that I'm talking. You know, he got to talk about the Scythians. He got to talk about Ashkenazi. He got to talk about the Sephardists, the Amorites, and so forth. He got to show what Edom come in at. He got to show what happened to us. He got to show where we at. He got to show what we got in these conditions and so forth. And ain't nobody doing it but the Israelite Brotherhood. All right, Israelites, man, I'm finna sum this little message up. But, man, we got to come together. Man, up under one title. Hebrew Israelites. They don't control that. Our enemies don't control the Israelite heritage. They can't tell us what a Hebrew is and what he should worship and so forth. They stand clear of that. They don't want no dealings with that, and how that's totally in our hand, and how that's being developed under this new covenant. You know what I'm saying? That's like, yeah, let me explain how Israelites swept down that they still under the old covenant after it was broken. You know, how you gonna be under the old covenant that was broken if you driven into captivity, and you in captivity and got people over you? How in the world you gonna be under the covenant? You ain't under the covenant that we got from Egypt that required land. It required that we have land that we control, free of enemy control. Then we can worship Almighty Yah properly, the way we supposed to. And that's what the prophecies are for, with re-establishing us a holding in the promised land. You know, we had our chance at controlling the whole land at one time, but now, you know, we're only going to be in the mountainous region overlooking Jerusalem, and that's going to be Hebron and Bethlehem, where it all started, where the prophet Abraham, our father, bought land for us, and then what King David become king. You know what I'm saying, of the Israelite nation. You know, that's what we have to return to, our beginnings, our first holdings in the promised land. And that's going to be Hebron. And I advocate that. And, man, I pray don't no Israelites be trying to stand in the way, man, with this being accomplished, because I pray Almighty Yah gobble you up and lay you down, because this got to come to pass. Hebron belongs to us. In the Israelite Brotherhood, striving to be the government. You know what I'm saying? And if the peoples that got us in captivity, you know, some of them want to help us, and if they decide to come on and help us and open that door, then, man, I'm only letting y'all worshipers in. And then if you believe in Yahweh and Jesus and so forth, you will never make it to the promised land. You will never make it to the promised land through the Israelite Brotherhood. You know, that's a promise. You know, I don't want nobody, you know, over in the promised land. You won't be in Hebron worshiping Yawashi or believing in the Jesus, I want to have a prison for you. I want to have a prison for you. You know, I'm give you a long sentence. If I catch, man, if the Israelite Brotherhood get set up in Hebron and the Israelite say he believe in Yawashi, man, you're going to be doing some hard labor over there. I promise you, if I get set up and gonna build a prison, and I want you to be in it. I want you to be in it for a matter of fact, you're going to perish in that prison because it's going to be a life sentence. We ain't going to never let you out. Believing in Jesus, coming back to the promised land with us, if you get in among us, that's going to be a life sentence somewhere because can't let you walk. That's what got us messed up. And that's what's got us messed up now in captivity, believing in demigods and God's sons and so forth. Why y'all think Almighty Yah punished the earth and flooded everything out? Because the people mixed with the son, the God's sons. That's a bad thing. Almighty Yah didn't want you mixing with the heavenly hosts and so forth. And he didn't want that. So, you know, all you Israelites that believe in God's sons and worship God's sons, I pray you stay here in captivity and that you don't reach the promised land. Because if you reach the promised land with the Israelite Brotherhood, I want to have a prison for you. I want to have a prison for you, and I want you to do some hard time. You think these white folks give you some time? You get over in the promised land under the Israelite Brotherhood, believing in demigods, and see how much time you get by your own folks. I want to do it to you. I want to see you 1,000 years hard labor. You ain't bringing us down. When we get back to the promised land, we ain't being brung down by no God son worship. We ain't being brung down by that. That won't bring us down. All right, Israelites. Much love to the Israelite Brotherhood community, and I love y'all, and we're going to get it together, and the headquarters ain't too far off. You know, I've been speaking about the headquarters for quite a while. Well, it shouldn't be too far off now. All praise be to Almighty Yah, and much love to you Hebrews. Shalom, Hebrews.